Did you have siblings?
No siblings. I'm an only child.
You were an only child.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like growing up as an only child?
Lonely, especially when you grow up in a household with parents who are old. Because like my mom was like 40 when she had me. So it was like dealing with older people. My great aunt who we lived with, she was like 60. So it's just like a bunch of grandmas. Not really too fun, too active. Watch Golden Girls, Star Trek.
You hear a lot of the times only children, and when a parent has a child, I mean, around 40 years old, the child is usually, they're always hanging out with older people. So it's, you know, they grow up with this mature mentality.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like reading a lot and independent activities that they partake in. Were you doing any of those things? Reading, you were, you know, you said your grandma, your aunts and stuff like that. Did you have a very mature mentality as a young child?
Very mature. I was actually super smart. So I skipped kindergarten. So I went from like pre-K to first grade. I was a reader. So I always did well in school. So for me, I would just get lost in books, get lost in music, just stare at the sky and just be like making up my own imagination and stuff like that.
Were you very creative?
Very creative, gifted and talented.
Was dad around when you were young?
Never knew my dad.
Okay.
Never knew my dad. I knew of who he was, but never really was around him.
Okay.
Just my aunt and mom.
This show is sponsored by Open Recovery Addiction Help. Whether you're newly sober, in long-term sobriety, or even maybe looking to make a change in your life, Open Recovery offers 24/7 support right from your phone. It's anonymous and packed with tools to help you stay connected, stay accountable, and build the life you deserve. Download the Open Recovery Addiction Help app today and take the next step in your recovery journey.
Now, were your parents, they had you and then he just left?
So my mom never really explained. Growing up in a family in the 80s, like you didn't really talk about much. It was just like things are the way they are and just don't discuss it. So never really got the history about my dad too much. It was just, I knew my mom, I knew my grandma and my aunt, and that was just pretty much how I lived my life.
Yeah, that's interesting. What was high school like for you?
So high school was pretty much a blur. By the time I was 10, I was molested. So middle school was just like me trying to hang out with boys and being on chat lines. So my school grades had dropped. So like by the time I got to high school, I was only 13 because I had skipped a grade. And it was just like a whole new world for me. And I did terrible.
So, okay, let's back up. You said at the age of 10, you were molested. What had happened?
With a family member, a cousin that I found out wasn't my cousin, but he was like adopted. So it was like, you know, later down the line, I found that out. But at the time, he was my cousin per se. And we used to just play a lot of weird games, little hide and seek here. We'll go over here and do this. So the part that was interesting was like my aunt who raised me was always like in the next room. So like we were just playing a lot of little weird games that led to sexual activity when I was 10.
How old was he?
14 maybe.
Okay, so he's about 4 years older than you. Okay.
And that just opened that door to just being very promiscuous, very inquisitive with sex and men.
How long did it last with your cousin?
A couple of summers. So my mom had two houses. So we had one in Hartford, one in Portland, Connecticut. And it was the one at the summer home where he would come during the summer for like a couple months. So like a couple months at a time, and then I wouldn't see him again till the next summer.
So, I mean, you're 10 years old. It's somewhat normalized then to you.
Yeah, it was fun. It was somebody to play with. I'm the only kid. I didn't have any friends. It was just like the weird little nerdy girl. So to have company, you know, I took it as this is what I have to do to have, you know, someone to love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to high school at the age of 13. Walk us through high school, what was going on.
High school was just more of me trying to figure out who I was. So wherever I could fit in, And I found friends, but they weren't the best of friends. They smoked weed. So that's how we kind of got introduced a little bit. Skipping class. That's when I started skipping. And then one day coming home from school, my mom let me walk to school because it was nearby. I was walking home from school and this like car pulled up and was like, hey. And I'm like, hey. Like, what's your name? And I'm like, Alexis. And so it led to me meeting an older man who then will become my child's father.
Okay. So you meet this guy.
Mhm.
How old are you at this point?
14.
14. He's older?
21, maybe 22.
Okay. So meet you.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just started becoming friends.
Hanging out. The kind of like, I would say, the grooming. So I will disclose that I did lie about my age.
Yeah.
But I feel like looking back, he should have asked. Like, you were picking me up from school. There were times where I was getting in trouble with my mom because I would stay out all night. I'm grounded. Like, it never clicked. Like, why can't she talk on the phone or come out? Like, so that part, I'm like, you knew, but you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just hanging out. Nothing sexual. Just he would bring me around where he hung out because he was a drug dealer. So we hang out there. He had a lot of cars. He had money. So it was just kind of introducing me slowly into a whole nother lifestyle that I was not prepared for.
That's very fascinating for a 14-year-old, someone who has a car, someone who has, all of these things and like the ability to open up a whole new world to you is fascinating.
It was. Like I said, I was sheltered, so I didn't know much about Hartford. It was just, I knew what my mom had, I experienced with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But going even just around the corner into a whole nother plethora of people and population and just the way people conduct themselves was completely new, but it was interesting.
Mm.
But then the question always popped up in my head, like, why didn't my mom ever ask me what I was doing at 14?
Did your mom pick up on anything?
So she knew I had a boyfriend.
Okay.
But she was so busy working that her life just revolved around work.
Yeah. So she wasn't too invested.
She was never invested emotionally or actually physically there.
Okay. So you were confiding in this guy emotionally as well. It was a safe place for you to express emotion.
Yeah. He was friendly. He was like the typical narcissist, friendly, warming, welcoming, giving, loving.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then it turned into something completely different after I got pregnant.
So I did the math. You got pregnant at 17.
I was 16 when I was pregnant. I had her at 17.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Yeah. So you get pregnant at 16.
Yep.
You have your daughter at 17.
Yep.
And then everything changed with him.
Well, if we want to backtrack, he got arrested and went to jail when I was pregnant. When
Drug
I was
dealing.
like So come to find out, he was a domestic violence situation with his girlfriend that he had, the actual girlfriend he had. So I think she found out about me and then something happened and he went to jail for a while, maybe a year or so.
Okay.
So like his mom was bringing me up to the jail to go visit him. And then when he came home, he was not the person that I thought he was going to be.
How old were you when he came home?
I would have been 18.
Okay, so your daughter is 1 now.
1. Mm-hmm.
What was it like having a child at 17 by yourself alone?
The hardest thing I ever had to do when my mom found out, because like I said, I came from a family of people who didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't have babies at 16, 15. So they kind of shunned me. My mom didn't talk to me my entire pregnancy. It was like we lived together, but she just ignored me. So when I had the baby, it was just like I didn't know what to do. She'd lay in a bassinet and cry, and I just like, oh my God, I would freak out. My mom had to help a lot because at the end of the day, like I'm still a teenager. I still have to go back to school. So it was a very much disconnected relationship between me and my baby at that time. And then when he came home, it was like he's outside, he's selling drugs. He moved in with me and my mom because he had nowhere to go. And it was just like I was chasing after him. I didn't want to be a mom at that point.
Okay, so you're essentially raising 2 children at this point.
Yeah.
Trying to keep him out of trouble. He's living at the house with your mom. What did your mom say when you proposed to her that he was going to move in?
She didn't want him to move in, but he had nowhere to go. And it was like to keep us together as a family. I think that was her thought process. Again, older woman, very green to how this thing goes. So she didn't really know. But I think it was one of the biggest mistakes that she made by letting him move in, because it was a control tactic as well.
Yeah. You mentioned you got introduced to marijuana when you were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
When you had the child, when you had your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
are you, once you have your daughter, are you still smoking weed? Are you drinking?
Absolutely. Drinking, smoking weed. It was just a routine that I had, especially when he came home from jail, because it was like, that's where I got it from.
Mhm.
I didn't know about where to cop weed, cop drugs. So I was using him as the access point, the entry point to feed my addiction that I had.
Okay. And is it just staying with weed and alcohol?
Just weed and alcohol. But he was not a fan of me drinking and smoking, even though he's the one that gave me the liquor and the weed.
It's funny how that works, right?
He was like, you smoke too much, you do too much. It's gonna be something. It's gonna lead to something else. I don't understand.
And he's doing it and getting it for you.
And he's doing it, getting it, and selling crack cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said it was the biggest mistake that your mom made letting him move in. When does it completely implode?
Just the fighting. Because he was like on a bracelet where you can't go outside after 8. So I'm still going outside, and he was like, "No, don't go." So we would fight a lot. Just fight physically, verbally. So eventually my mom was like, "Yeah, you guys gotta go." So
Yeah.
I got an apartment, we moved in together, and then it just went downhill within like a year. Like the physical, just him not coming home, not paying the bills. There was a time where we got into an argument about my hair. I was like, "I'm gonna go get my hair done." And he was like, he didn't want me to go to this particular hairstylist, and he pulled out a gun on me. And we got into a big fight because of that. Scared the crap out of me. But at that point, I was just so used to being in that situation that it was just, I was ready to fight. Like, whatever you want to do, I'm matching your energy.
And are you working at this point?
Odd jobs. I mean, what can you really get? And you're barely graduated high school, no college, and a baby.
Yeah.
So barely part-time.
When do you guys eventually part ways?
Within about 6 months to a year moving in together, I was like, I'm done. Like, my mom didn't raise a fool. Like, you're not paying any bills. You don't come home like that. You're always trying to control everything that I had. And so the deal breaker was I started going to school for CNA. And it's like with the narcissist, they don't want you to spread your wings. So I was like, I'm going to be a CNA. I'm going to go to school and, do something better for myself. So I meet a girl there who would later become my best friend. And he's like, I don't like her. I don't want you to be around her. She's too old, because she was older. She's about 15 years older than me. I just don't want you around her. I've heard about her. And I'm like, you don't even know her. I don't even know her. Let me just establish what I'm going to establish with her. And so on my graduation day, she's doing my hair at her grandmother's house. And we had to go back to the hair store to get some products. And I come out the back door, and he was in the bushes, and he hops out and he like knocks me out. And she's screaming. She doesn't know what to do. Her grandmother comes out. Everyone's freaking out. And then he just runs off. And so that was the day I said, okay, I'm done.
Knocked you out?
Knocked me out.
Punched you?
Punched me. I fell on the ground. Don't remember what happened. And woke up like so embarrassed. I just left. I didn't go to the graduation. And I knew that was it for me. So we broke up that day.
Did you call the police, or no, you just called it quits and just said, I'm not even
In my culture, we don't really call the police, I would say. Like, calling the police is like a target put on your back. So it was no call the police, just I figured change the locks, change my phone number.
Yeah. And
that would be it. But I didn't realize that he wasn't done with me. And so it goes into maybe a year or two of him stalking me, breaking in my home. That's when I started calling the police, because I didn't know what to do. And like talking to my mom is like talking to a brick wall. And then with the narcissist, my whole family thought he was a nice person. So it would be like, I'm the bad guy. I'm the one that did this to him. Why? He only did it because I did something. His whole family hated me. And it was just a whole spiraling downhill for me of just being scared to come outside. There was a time where I was driving my car, and I'm driving, minding my business, and I see a car coming towards me, and I had a head-on collision with this vehicle because he hit me. He just drove his car into my car and drove off.
He was going the opposite way,
And
saw
hit
you,
me.
and then just a head-on collision. How fast were you guys going?
Maybe on a regular residential road, 25 miles, 20 maybe.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it happened maybe twice he did that, because the second time my daughter was in the car and I hit a pole. And then he came back around the block and was like laughing at me, like, you stupid bee, aha. Yeah. And then drove off before the police could come.
How old are you at this point?
19, 20.
Oh, okay. And
20.
then when does it finally end? He's stalking you for a year.
Mm-hmm.
When does it finally come to an end?
So like I said, I've been calling the police. They would do nothing. Call the police. They would do nothing. So the last time I'm going on a job interview, and ironically, I look to my right and he's there, like just out of nowhere. And he like spits on my window out of his car. And then I drive off. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go to this interview. I'm freaking out, but I'm like, I'm still going to go. So I get on the highway. When I get off the highway, he's there again. So he must have followed me. And when I at the red light, I look, and he took a hammer and he bashed my window in. And he finally got arrested for that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did he go back to jail?
He went to jail. He went to jail.
Yeah, he has a record.
Yeah, I had a restraining order. He couldn't see me or my daughter for a while, supervised visits. And then that's where I just went downhill, like completely downhill from there. Just the fear of men, the fear of the embarrassment that he made it seem like I was just a bad person, and it wasn't me.
Yeah. So you graduate CNA.
Mm-hmm.
You then get a job.
Yep.
What do you do from there? Once he's out of your life, then what do you do from there?
So me and the girl that I was going to school with, that I told you, he knocked me out of her house.
Mm-hmm.
We became best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so with her, she had a completely different lifestyle that I wasn't prepared for. So she had like a lot of boyfriends. She had a lot of popularity. She was just that girl. And so me and her just got really close. And I just wanted to she was like my role model of just wanting to be like her. She was loyal. She was a friend. She was there for me. So that is kind of where I pivoted in the relationship with me and her, of just becoming someone that I never thought that I would be.
Walk us through.
Walk it through,
yeah,
right?
walk
Okay.
us through who you became with
Okay.
her and what was kind of going on.
So first it was, she did like ecstasy.
Yeah.
So it was just starting out hanging out, partying, going to the club, that type of thing. And then she had the guys, like all the guys liked her. So for me, it was just like, okay. So I started dating different guys and started hanging out at sketchy places, trap houses, and dealing with the guys with the most money. So it went from that partying thing where it's fun. You know, you party all night, you sleep all day, you party all night, you sleep all day. But for me, it just kind of became from a Friday to a Saturday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's hard to keep up with work because I'm just partying. And with ecstasy, if you've ever had it, if you use it, it's a gateway drug too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, I'm taking ecstasy, but I'm also drinking like a gallon of Hennessy. And I'm smoking like 50 blunts of weed. Mm. And so by the time you crash, you probably could sleep for 48 hours.
I had that down to a science, how to come down from ecstasy. Mm-hmm. It drains your serotonin and you go into a depression.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And then for me too, I noticed with the ecstasy was giving me headaches. And so something was just like, you need to stop doing this. I feel like I'm going to die if I keep, you know what I mean? Because it's like I pop a pill and now I have a headache. Mm. Like I was just nervous about like ODing, even though I didn't know what ODing was.
Yeah, of course.
So I kind of fell back from that. And then the next level I went to was the PCP. So for that, she had a boyfriend that smoked PCP. Mm-hmm. And all his friends smoked PCP. So I started selling drugs with one of her boyfriend's friends. And so he would smoke it. I'd smoke a little bit. He'd be like, I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to do it. But I would do it anyway. And it took me on like another plateau because I didn't get a headache. You get the high, but then you come down and you're fine. Or at least you think you're fine. And so for me, that was working. You know, I get it from him. And then he went to jail. He got deported and went to jail.
Okay, so he goes to jail, but you're still now left with this addiction to PCP.
I'm left with the addiction. I'm left with selling drugs because we had a little operation going on. So we were selling drugs together. And then when he went to jail, I was like, well, I could do this on my own. I'd already kind of got a name. I got a buzz. I'm hanging with her. I'm hanging with these guys. So I was able to kind of get further access into the street life that just was not something that I thought it was.
So overnight, you become a PCP dealer.
No, PCP user, crack dealer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yep. I got that confused.
Nope, it's
You're
fine.
using PCP. You're selling crack.
Yep.
Okay.
Crack cocaine.
How did you already knew his supplier and then you just kind of slid in?
I was funding the money. He was selling it. And then when he went to jail, I just said, let me just do it all by myself. I don't need him.
Yeah.
It was easier.
Walk us through what it was like selling crack, especially, I mean, listen, most dealers are men, enforcing men.
I know.
What was that like for you?
It was very hard because one, people don't want to take you seriously because you're a girl.
Yep.
So you have to be tough. So like my attitude was like, call me Rocky. I want to fight you. I'll shoot you. I'll stab you. Whatever I got to do to prove that I can do this and that you're going to respect me. So that was kind of how I had to go. So it worked until it didn't work because, you have a lot of haters being a girl. And then people think because you're a girl that you're soft or because you're a girl, they want to sleep with you. It's like, don't get this twisted. Like, I'm here to get money. And so I got robbed. And that's kind of one of the pivots of why I was like, I don't think I want to sell drugs anymore. I had a big chain. It was a big gold Cuban chain with like diamonds on it. And there was a guy, there was one of my users that wanted to buy, but I didn't have anything. I was at home and I was going to the club. So it was a guy that I knew and he was like, I was like, do you have anything? Because I have somebody right now that wants to purchase. And he was like, sure. So he goes in, he comes back out, and then he's like, I don't know what he was on, but he was like, oh, you're trying to set me up. You're trying to rob me. I'm like, dude, I'm literally trying to get you some money. Like, and so we were arguing in the car. He wouldn't get out of the car. So I kind of like pulled off because the police were pulling up. It was just like a random Friday night police action everywhere. So when I pulled off, he like grabbed my chain. And so, make a long story short, I pulled out my knife, put an S on his chest. We got into a huge brawl, and that was when I was like, yeah, you're doing a little bit too much.
You stabbed him with a knife?
I stabbed him with a knife. Put an S on his chest like Superman.
He then gets out of your car after you guys tussle.
Mm-hmm.
And
blood everywhere, shirts off. I blacked out. And when I came back to, I was just like in the car. I didn't know where to go. I went to my best friend's house. There's blood everywhere. She's freaking out. And then I was like, yeah, we need to go back and figure out if he's alive or what happened or so.
What happened to him?
I don't know. I never saw him again.
And then you never heard anything from cops or anything?
Nope. And actually, I ended up cutting myself because I was just moving the knife around so much.
Yeah. So
I had like deep cut on my hand, a couple of scars I still have from the incident. And I was afraid to go to the hospital because I was like, if I go to the hospital, he's probably at the hospital right now and they're going to put 2 and 2 together. So I did like the old Westerns and just took a t-shirt and just bandaged my hand. Yeah, called it a day and went to work the next day.
That is insane. So that stopped your drug dealing.
That was like, yeah, it's not going to work. It's too dangerous. You're by yourself doing this thing. And what happens if something happens?
How old are you at this point?
20.
Oh, you're still young.
Yeah, 20, 21 maybe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you're also raising your daughter too through all of this.
Raising my daughter, that was, I kind of put her out of the picture.
Yeah.
Because I was so angry at the fact that it didn't work with me and her dad. And I was like, he gets to be outside. He gets to do what he wants to do, come and go as he pleases. Yeah, I can't. I'm always stuck with her. And so I had that mentality, which really caused a huge wedge between me and my daughter. So she was mostly at her grandma's all the time.
Yeah.
I had too much going on at home. I'm selling drugs. I had people coming in and out. It was just safe for her to be there. So I just was letting her stay at my mom's.
So do you continue your friendship with that older girl?
Yeah, we were friends almost until the end of my journey. But with her, I think she genuinely loved me and she wanted the best for me. But I don't think that she understood the magnitude of what transpired from me just her being my role model. Because I took it from 0 and went to 100. So yeah, you're this girl, you're popular, whatever, but I want to be 10 times better than that. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to be better than what I thought she was, and not intentionally, But it was just, I want a bigger chain. I want a bigger car. I want a nicer house. I want the baddest guy I could find. And so it was just like a repetitive thing of just more and more finding myself in the dark.
Yeah. You're basically, you have all these shiny things that are these objects that are in your face. And it's society now too. It's like, oh, you have this car. Well, you need to get a bigger, better car.
Right.
You have that chain. You need to get a bigger, better chain. You have a gold chain. You need a diamond chain.
Yeah. And then too, the other wedge between me and her, I would say, was the fact that she didn't use PCP. She just smoked weed and the pills. And so when I really converted into smoking PCP every day, she wasn't happy about it because it turned me into someone else when I got high.
Can you walk us through what a PCP high is like?
Yeah. So sometimes you'll have fun nights where it's like they call it getting stuck, where you smoke and then it'll be 2 hours later and you're like, oh shit, what happened? And then you'll have other times where I've it's like everything's just moving slow and I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? I've even had experiences where like things were big. Like there was a time I was in my house getting high and the refrigerator was like 10 times its size and I'm just staring at the refrigerator like, whoa, look at this refrigerator. It's so cool. Almost like acid, how acid does. It's just like, whoa, this is trippy. So those moments, you know, it was like you're always chasing the next moment. So every time I'd be like, okay, I like that. But it escalated into things like I got into a police altercation. Let's talk about that. So I decided now, this is me using PCP almost, at least very frequently during the week, 3 or 4 times a week. So I decided I was going to go to New Jersey to meet a cousin that I hadn't seen in forever. Why I wanted to meet her, I don't know. I just like, oh, I'm going to New Jersey. I'm going to meet some guys out there. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So I steal my mom's credit card, drop my daughter off. I said, I'll be back later, which meant next week. And I said, I'm just going to cop some weed. So I cop weed. I cop some e-pills. I cop some bags of dust. Pack my bags. I was like, well, I'll pop the e-pill now because then by the time I get to New Jersey, it'll kick in. But mind you, that means I'm rolling, if you know what rolling means, on the highway for 2 to 3. New Jersey's about, 4 hours away?
That's a great roll right there.
I know. Why? I don't know. In the daytime, like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Put on a dress, put on some high heels. I'm ready to go outside. So I had a rental car. And somehow the night before I was out and I parked it like on a fire hydrant, but like kind of in the middle of the road, not all the way on the sidewalk. So the police were there trying to write me a ticket. I'm like, I can't get another ticket. I can't get another ticket. You know, you're high. So I'm arguing with the police officer about why he shouldn't give me a ticket. And he's like, ma'am, you know, calm down. And I'm just, I don't get it. And, you know, this isn't fair. You know, I'm just going on and on and on. So then I'm like, F it. And I just like start to walk away. And they're like, no, come back. And I'm like, I'm going home. And they're like, now you're under arrest. And I'm like, but no, I'm not. And when I say I had the biggest brawl with the 2 police officers, they beat me up so bad. They beat me up. They pepper sprayed me. They hog tied me like a pig with zip ties. And they threw me in the back of their police cruiser.
Did you resisted, hence why they took you down. Yeah. They pepper sprayed you, hog tied you, and then chucked you in the back of the car.
I didn't understand why I was under arrest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it didn't take all that because I wasn't like trying to physically hurt them. But I think it's when I was like, I'm not going to jail today. Like they were like, yeah, you are. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
What is it like to be pepper sprayed?
You don't ever want to be pepper sprayed. It burns beyond burning. Like if you could just put hell on your eyelids and just let it burn for eternity, that's what it was. And then I'm stuck in the back of a police car. My hands are tied behind my back with the zip ties and my feet. So I couldn't even like wipe my eyes. So I'm trying to bust the window out of the car with my shoe. I had on some like 6-inch stilettos. I'm busting the car out. They're yelling and screaming at me to stop. I wouldn't stop. They threw me out of the police car when I got to the police station. They sprayed me with like a hose, felt like a fire hose. I couldn't see, so I don't know what was going on, but they sprayed me with the hose to try to get it out of my eye. But I'm just screaming, I'm causing a commotion. They were pissed. I was making a scene. And then they threw me like in a room with like padded walls. And I like took off my dress and I don't have no clothes on. I'm just talking shit. I'm like, fuck you, fuck the police. I'm calling, the whole thing. And I'm like, and then they were like, I was like, I want a phone call. I'm supposed to get a phone call. They're like, you watch too much Law and Order. You're not getting a phone call. I'm like, I want a phone call. I'm calling my lawyer. Make a long story short, I'm like, I know I'm going to jail. Like, they're going to bring me to York Correctional from the holding cell. I'm like, I can't go there. So I'm like, I want to go to the doctor. I'm like, my arm's broken, which I was limping because of the magnitude of how much force they put on me. But I got them to bring me to the hospital. Get to the hospital. The doctor doesn't even want to talk to me because, you're in handcuffs. I felt like that was some injustice because, like, okay, just because I'm in handcuffs doesn't mean I'm not hurt. So they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't even ask me what happened. They asked the police officer because you're escorted there by the police. And they were like, yeah, she was fighting a police officer. So then they just turned me away. So I come back and they're like, yeah, the paddy wagon's coming. You're going to New York. And I'm like, they're talking shit to me the whole time. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going there. Bring me to another hospital. I don't want to go to that hospital. I just want to bring me to another one. So they bring me to another hospital. Go to the second hospital. And it was like an angel was there. There was a nurse. And she was like, she has no clothes on. Like, give her something to put on. Like, this is unacceptable. So she's arguing with them to give me like a couple of gowns to put on because I still had on the pepper spray mini dress. And so they were like, give her a gown. They gave me a gown. Then they're like, oh, what do you need? What happened? So I'm telling her, like, ma'am, I get I'm in handcuffs. I get what it looks like, but I'm still a woman. I'm a mom. Like, my family doesn't know where I am. Please help me. I feel like my wrist is broken. My ankle is sprained. Like, I need help. So she was like, okay, I got you. And so, they gave me a cast, not a cast, like a brace, some meds. So what I did was, because my family doesn't know where I am, I took a cup and I carved with like a pen or like I don't know what it was. I carved like my phone number and I was like, help, SOS. And I put my mom's number on there. And so now they bring me back to the holding cell. And they're like, yeah, you're going to jail. So I get on the paddy wagon. I go down to New York Correctional. And, they have you in this bullpen where you're with all the girls waiting. And I'm just like, oh, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, how am I going to call somebody? So long story short, there was a bondsman waiting for me there. To this day, I don't know how or who know how I got there, but I'm assuming it was the cup.
Someone called your mom and she got you a bond.
Yeah.
And you never ended up having to go?
Nope, not that time. I mean, I had a case, but
yeah,
I was able to leave that night.
What did you get charged with?
Resisting arrest, assault on a police officer. And I think that was it.
Did you catch a felony for the?
No.
Okay.
But it was a triangular effect of cases after cases after cases that DUIs. There was a time where I decided I was just going to get high and find somebody to sleep with.
Yeah.
So I roll my dust, I roll my weed together. It's called the Matrix. It's like, I'm out here tonight. Whatever goes is happening tonight. It's going, you get that moment where you're like, it's going down tonight.
Yeah, it used to be every night for me.
Every night, right? So I lit the L, driving on the road. Do. Next thing I know, I'm fucking running down the street. I don't know how I went from driving to running down the street. You know how like you recognize that something's different? I'm like, it's cold. Then I'm like, oh my God, I have one shoe on. I have one shoe off. Wait, where's my car? I'm just running. Like, I hear police. I'm like, wait, what just happened? And I was trying to like see where, you're coming down off the high. I'm trying to see where I am. And I was like nearby my house. So I like broke into my house because I didn't have my keys and like climbed through the window, changed my clothes. And I'm like, something was like, go back around the corner where you were. So I like put on this hoodie and I went around the corner and there's the car. I hit somebody and hopped out and ran.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a scare. I've had situations where you black out. You don't remember what happened. You remember doing one thing, which was a few hours ago.
Yeah.
And then you're in a completely different setting, situation. And it's scary because you don't know what or how you got there. I was so scared.
And then the crazy part about PCP was, like I said, I blacked out. I didn't know what happened. I kind of just, when I saw what was going on with the police in the vehicle and everything, I kind of just ran home. But then the next day, I had lost my speech.
You lost your speech.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk.
No words for like a week.
For a week, you lost your speech from PCP.
Yes.
How does that happen?
I think it's from just repetitive use of using it over and over and over and over again. It takes your speech. Usually you'll stutter, which most people do, but I think I've been using it so much that I couldn't even say my ABCs.
So you would make noises, but nothing would make sense, or it was just all
words.
gibberish.
Yeah, for like a week.
Okay, so you are riding this wave of insanity for years. Take us up to how you ended up going to prison for 6 months.
So, okay, the police interaction, when I had the police incident, I had a couple of DUIs. I think I got caught with a suspended license a couple of times. And so my mom dies. And I just lost it. It was like going from, you go to your mom's house every day to just, your lifeline, your backbone, the one that babysits, to finding her dead in her bed.
What year is this?
2013.
2013. I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. I've moved on, but I haven't forgotten. But yeah, finding her dead in her bed. Well, she had a seizure, so I don't know if she was actually there or not, but it seemed like she had died in the bed. And that imagery just being in your mind of seeing her that way, and then being left to, take care of your kids. My aunt, who I told you at the time raised me, she was taking care of her, so now I have to take care of her. I'm like 26, maybe 25, still getting high every day, and I just turned to PCP as my escape. And then my aunt had dementia within like 2 months, and then she died. And so they were paying my lawyer, so now I don't have a way to pay my lawyer. And I'm just getting case after case after case after case. And so, yeah, it was inevitable. At that point, my lawyer was like, yeah, you need to make arrangements for your children because you're going to definitely be going to jail.
Okay, so all these cases that you caught, it all just caught up to you.
Yeah, I think too as well, just the lifestyle was catching up to me.
Yeah.
And again, going from the girl who was just smoking on the weekends to this is an everyday thing. This is my hair was falling out. My teeth were falling out from just the repetitive use of, the chemical that's in PCP, that I just was never the same. My thoughts, you almost get like psychosis, is what they call it, drug-induced psychosis. So it was time for me to take a break.
Yeah.
I needed the break.
How are you feeling emotionally during this time period?
I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. I planned to kill myself. Then I had the thought, well, where are my kids going to go? Because, my mom died. Who's going to watch them? So it was going from, okay, I'm going to kill myself now to maybe later to I just hate my life. I hate everything that's happened to me. That I just was just numb.
What year did you go to prison?
2014.
Okay, so
It was right after she died, yeah.
Okay, so 2014, you go to prison for 6 months. What was that like going into prison?
A break. Outside of the fact that I had to, make arrangements for my kids, make arrangements because I was, my mom died, my aunt died, so I had the house. So I had to figure out how was that going to work, and I'm not there, like if people break in or whatever. So just trying to make those arrangements and then going in. It was like peaceful because it was the first time I hadn't used since 12, 11, 13. Even though it was weed, it's still a substance. So peace, nobody to talk to, just sit on my bunk. But then you get out and then the real world is just waiting for you.
So did you use, because you can use drugs in prison. Did you use it all? You were completely abstinent from mood and mind altering substances for those 6 months.
But when I came home, I was right back.
Okay. So you get out. How long until you go back?
Days,
Wow.
2 days. Cause I had saved some money. So I had maybe like $500. And within that weekend, it was like, cause I never had an intent to quit. So it wasn't like I'm okay, I'm quitting. No, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back to that when the time is right.
But I feel like there was something in you because during those, maybe, just being sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Yeah.
right? And you can get high in prison if
Right.
you really want to.
Yeah.
And you didn't,
Mm-mm.
which is amazing.
Right.
But okay, I get that. You have no, there's no program or no sober community to help you. It was almost like, no pun, but you were naked in prison without any tools for your sobriety. So you get out. Do you pick up right where you left off?
Picked up. Well, but things were different because now my mom's not here. I'm stuck with my kids. So I can't go how I want to move.
Yep.
My license is suspended, so I can't drive. Just stuck at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the depression kind of set in. Like, it was real bad. I would just sit in my room and cry and smoke and cry and smoke. I couldn't function. I remember it was so bad, like the dishes that just got piled up. It was like moldy. I just would just stay in the room. My kids were like, what's going on with you? But they were so little. It was just like.
Were you using PCP again?
Yeah, every day.
Okay, so you went right back to PCP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Every day.
So the depression, does this go on until 2017 when you actually get sober?
Yeah.
And how did you end up getting sober?
So I think, at some point the train just stops. So it went from the party girl, I have everything, so I have nothing. And I don't even have anyone like my mom to give me money, or where am I getting it from? So for me, I think it just was at its course. It just ended. So I just got tired of it. Like, I'm homeless now. I'm walking the streets of Hartford with like literally nowhere to go. I mean, at this point, what are you going to do? So I didn't think the drugs were the issue. I just thought that there was a problem, but I couldn't pinpoint what the problem was. So make a long story short, I met some friends, some new girl I'm hanging with. She was like, hey, you want to go to a soup kitchen? I'm like, well, I don't really do soup kitchens, but whatever, I'll go because you're going. Let's go there. She never shows. So it was raining and I'm like, where am I going to go? Like, I'm just tired. Like, where am I going to go? So there was like the pastor who was running the soup kitchen. He's like, I got a place you can go if you want to go. He's like, but you got to say you drink or something. And I'm like, oh, I do drink. Like, sure. So we call, and it ended up being like the Salvation Army Rehab. And so I go. I just go, not knowing that it was a rehab. Just thought it was a place to stay.
This pastor, that's a God moment.
It is.
It's a God moment. And at that moment when he asked you, I know you said you didn't know it was a rehab, but you know what? Whatever gets you there.
Got me there.
Got you there.
Mm-hmm.
What was the experience like once you got there and realized it was a rehab? Hell,
because you can't leave for 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
It was a long-term program, so you couldn't leave for like the first 28 days. The police were looking for me because the person that had my kids thought I was missing or had died. They didn't know where I was. So the police were looking for me. I'm just there, kumbayaing it, running the course of the program, realizing maybe after a week, okay, this is a rehab because we have to go to NA, we have to go to A, we have to go to this group, that group. Mm-hmm. So the people there were mean. They weren't really supportive. Granted, I still had a chip on my shoulder, so I wasn't the best candidate, to say I was the best person there.
None of us are usually.
Yeah.
The first 30
and then you're
days.
coming down, and then again with PCP, it really changes your mind and your thoughts. And so coming off of that, it was a wild ride. But maybe about a couple of months in, I was like, okay, I'll do what they're saying to do. Maybe I have a problem.
How long were you in treatment for?
A year.
You were in treat. So you went in the 30-day rehab, and then after that, it was like a sober.
You stay there. It's a whole year program.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that saved your life?
It saved my life.
So you said a couple of months in, you're like, okay, like you start becoming open-minded a little bit.
Yeah.
When did things really change? Like, was there a specific moment, or did it just kind of get you after some time?
It was the entire process. There was one counselor there. She was like the one, like, the guardian angel. She was pushing me to just get a job, just get it together, really listen to what they're saying. So I did the program. I met my husband in there. So, fraternizing, got a little boyfriend, so that was like another reason to want to be good, I guess you'd say.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah. And then I got pregnant.
In there. Okay.
Maybe by month 6, maybe halfway in, I'm pregnant now.
And is this your third child?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you get pregnant in there.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this for the listeners.
Yeah.
Do you recommend meeting someone in a rehab facility?
No.
Okay, good answer.
No.
You guys are together today, though.
We've been married, was this year 6?
And he's still sober, too.
And he's been sober since then.
Okay. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But you are a very rare case.
Rare.
And I do want to say for the listeners who are potentially going to rehab or whatever in this situation,
right.
You are it's like 0.0001% chance that you'll make it, and you both will stay sober.
Right.
So good for you.
But then let's even go deeper. Like, it's from what the statistics were that they told us in the program, it's 1% of us that were going to make it, let alone being connected to someone in there.
And both make it.
We both made it.
Okay.
No relapses. Yeah.
So you have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were in there for a year. So if my math is correct, you're out for 3 months. You have a year and 3 months sober. You're out of this program for 3 months, back in reality, in the real world. You have your child together.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was hard because it was just like, and a lot of people don't get this. When you get out of the program, like, life is going to just smack you. It's not going to just wait for you to, okay, let's give her some time. Like, no, I had 2 other children that I had to be responsible for now. Like, my daughter's father was not feeling like you're out of the program and you're not going to come and get them.
Yeah.
So it was getting both of my children, just keeping stability, keeping a roof over our head, and trying to just do what you can every day to just be better.
What have you been doing? 8 years is a long time in sobriety. It's many days.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of tools have you implemented? You talked about life on life's terms. Just because we get clean and sober doesn't mean things just get taken care of for us. What tools have you implemented over the past 8 years, or let's say last 7 years since you've been out of your program?
Right.
With 3 kids. And I mean, you mentioned it to me outside. He has 2 kids as well from a prior relationship.
Yep.
So you have 5 kids essentially.
Mm-hmm.
What tools have you implemented to help keep yourself sober and stay spiritually fit?
I think the first thing is just looking at it from a logical approach. If I use, my life is going to be messed up. So if I want my life to be messed up, then that's the route I can go, or I can continue on the sober journey. So that's kind of where I just keep my thoughts. Therapy. I've had a therapist since when I was in the program. They make you get therapy. And so that was like, I probably need to continue these services. Therapy. Church worked for me. And just really understanding that I have to have better judgment of people and character, and knowing that what I used to do, I can't do anymore, and just being content with that. Yeah.
Well, also too, it seems like you've done the work on yourself. And like, for example, the relationship with that first girl when you were in school, who maybe wasn't the best influence. I mean, you were raw. You were a young kid.
Right.
And, didn't necessarily, you were trying to find your identity.
Right.
So easily influenced by others. That's more inclined to happen.
Right.
Now you've done the work on yourself. You know who you are. You're when you walked in, you're very comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
I could feel that radiating off you. And you make the decisions in your life today, and you play the tape through. Is that relationship a good relationship for me? Like, meaning a friendship, like picking friends. Like, is that a good relationship for me? Or is that a bad relationship for me? And you're able to do that.
But it's hard. You know what I mean? It's not a journey where, a lot of people understand. Like, everything for me can be a trigger. Just simple things as getting reprimanded at work. Because then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna have a job. And then if I have a job, I'm gonna be back on the street. Like, So it's just remembering like little things can trigger me, but then what to do when that happens and when I recognize it's happening.
Mm-hmm. I have the same experience. And it's like resetting. I too have God in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, let's take my will out of this.
Right.
Let's take the crazy fleeting thoughts out of this for a second. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Right. And then once you start to depend on God and really implement God and put him first with your sobriety, because you mentioned it before, if you don't take care of yourself, like you're not going to have anything else.
Right.
I think you said with, you're not going to be a mom. You're not going to, with your kids. And I feel like once you start to put God, let's just say a higher power. Not everyone believes in God, and that is totally cool. Like whatever you have. But once you have something bigger in your life to connect and remove your will from a situation and those thoughts, it's a much easier lifestyle to live.
It's and finding the grace within it, because a lot of times you beat yourself up on who you used to be or the choices that you've made, that you just carry that luggage everywhere you go. And so I've had to remind myself, I'm not that girl. And that girl, she did the best that she could do.
Yeah. What do you do when it comes to boundary setting? Do you set boundaries today?
I struggle with boundaries. I've realized that over time that I have a hard time deciphering a boundary because I'm just so open. And I overshare and I love everybody until I hate you. So I'm learning within these last few months, really back in, reevaluate who is who, what is what, when to say yes, when to say no. But it's just that same thing that I've carried probably my entire life.
When you do set boundaries though, what does it do for you?
It pisses me off because I'm like, now I have like a boundary. There's a blockage, there's a barrier, there's something that then I double question myself.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I have to reach out for support to be like, did I make the right decision by doing this?
Yeah. That's I get it. I used to, in the beginning when I was setting boundaries, I would second guess myself as well. And then I'm not saying this is the case for you by any means, but I felt like I didn't respect myself and I would question my judgment, my authority. But then in the long run, it would always work out for me.
It does.
And it makes it easier then to set boundaries and trust yourself in making those decisions. I mean, and just if you want to talk logically, setting any kind of boundary for me, like I have a tough time letting go. Big time. But when I let go in certain situations, I mean, it's fear, right? It's fear-based. It's, lack of self-worth. I'm not worth it. But the boundary setting for me has enabled me to trust myself because every situation has always worked out in my favor when I go against that anxiety of setting a boundary. So
yeah, and realizing that this is a lifelong process that you're really committing to every single day, even after you're sober. Because the work comes after you're sober. It's not getting sober that's the work.
Yeah.
Because anybody can get clean in 30 days, 60 days maybe. But it's really, what are you doing after that? That really is going to make an impact on your recovery.
Have you done like a deep dive on yourself and your past? And you experienced some traumatizing events at 10 years old, at 14. What's some advice that you have for someone who's tuning in who has been through traumatic events?
I think grace is the best word, because I used to beat myself up a lot. Like, well, I should have did this and I could have done that. And I realized that you did what you can do, good or bad, and we all make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. It's what you do after the mistake that makes a difference. And maybe you need to make 50 mistakes, 25 mistakes, and then you get it. But just try to work on getting it.
Giving yourself grace. I have a lot of trouble with that. I'm very hard on myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I am like my own worst critic. And giving myself grace, and it enables me to move on from certain situations. But I truly have to believe it.
And you have to realize that there's only one you, right? So if there's only one me, let me be the best version that I can be. And that's going to evolve. Like, you're not going to be the best version today and then tomorrow that's it. Like, you get better every single day. You learn something new every single day. You have a chance every single day to do something different.
It's amazing. Well, Alexis, I really appreciate you coming on. You are a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
Your journey, your story, your experience, everything you shared is going to help a lot of people. And the person you've become it's a miracle. And actually, really quick, before we do wrap up, you have 5 children. And,
I do.
you know, again, we were briefly talking outside, you know, your relationship with, you know, your first daughter. You know, it's a work in progress.
It is.
But you are present and you are sober today.
I am.
How's the relationship with the rest of your children?
Awesome. You know, well, and that's the controversy in my house, is that I'm a different version than what I was to my daughter. So she sees me as like, why are you this way when you weren't that way? And then my other kids, that's all they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beautiful side of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's just showing up and continuing to be consistent and
not let anyone hold your past against you, whether it's a family member or a loved one or not. Like, what I did is what I did. Let's move on.
Yeah. How's your husband doing? Is he doing well?
He's amazing. Like,
I love that.
He's supportive. He's working on himself. We have the same vision. We want to help other people in recovery. We want to help our community. So it just works.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really, really love that.
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name's Deshaun.
Deshaun?
Yeah, he's got a story to tell. I can't wait for him
Shout
to share
out
it.
Deshaun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, babe.
We have to have him on.
He has.
He's going to give me all the
stories.
dirt on you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. There's no dirt on you.
He
You already
doesn't-
had it all out.
But I was going to say, he doesn't know me from that. He knows me from this version. I mean, he never knew me. And it's weird because we're from the same area.
Yeah.
Never saw each other.
I'm so glad that you guys are doing well and
We
you're
are.
raising this family and
Mhm.
it's really a beautiful thing. Actually, one more question.
Yep.
The father of your first daughter, is he alive?
No, he passed away from COVID.
He passed away from COVID.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I think that we made amends. I never was upset. It just, different girl in a
Yeah.
different season.
Yeah.
So this girl, I'm not mad about what. It's just what we went through. We were young and we were dumb.
You made amends?
Yeah.
What? I love that.
Mhm.
I love that. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
That's why you're sober today.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Not that specific situation, but
Forgiveness. You have to have forgiveness, because if you don't forgive other people, you'll walk around bitter.
we are going to end on that.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.